Hello everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. I am ChitChad, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster, where we are building a Mario theme park, and boy, do we get a lot done today. I'm actually pretty excited about it. So not only do we do work on the Yoshi coaster, which is the Yoshi Hills coaster, we also work on some seating areas, some benches. We work on kind of like a food court area, which is kind of the Toad Town that we had talked about, I think, in the previous episode. We make a couple of water features. I think we make a bathroom. So like just a lot of stuff gets done in this episode, which is pretty cool because, like I said, I record a lot of these in advance and I kind of want to get to the point where I start adding the art and the animation and all the really cool stuff, which I'm there currently in the real timeline of the world, which is the time for me, not for you, because I made these in advance and this episode's going up later. It's confusing. Anyways, I've actually gotten to that point and I'm so excited for when you all get to see the artwork and the animation actually get incorporated with this part of the park. It's so cool and I'm excited for it. But let's talk about what we're actually working on right now. So you may remember these buildings. These buildings are actually from the original gaming park. If you haven't seen those videos, they are on the channel. Go check them out. I made these for the original Mario area of the park. So I decided to jump back into that old file and then create blueprints of these buildings because I did not want to have to make these again because they were problematic to get kind of that right mushroom dome-ish shape. It was not easy, so I did not want to have to repeat that process again. So I was like, blueprint them, send them over, done. Oh, I love reusing assets. It makes my life so much easier. Anyways, it's always fun with these scenery pieces. I know that I tend to use them every so often, but it not only helps with theming and keeping things consistent, but boy, does it save a lot of time. And especially when you're reusing like the same things over and over again, like the fences. Like instead of having to place one down every single time, I just decided to make like a big long chain of them and then turn that into a blueprint. And then I did like a curved version of it and turned that into a blueprint, which saves so much time. So that's just like a huge recommendation. If you're going to be using the same asset over and over again, just make a blueprint of it. It makes things so much easier. So I got this really cool idea from when I was meeting up with my dad for lunch. We went to this outdoor mall and they had these really cool seating areas, and they just recently did like a huge renovation to it because like the mall just kind of felt samey for many years. So they did like this really nice renovation to it and added all this like really cool aesthetic stuff. But one of the things I really liked was these kind of round sitting areas, but they were also planters in the middle. So I was trying to come up with a way to make that because I thought it was such a unique idea, because not only does it incorporate, sitting areas, which is kind of important in a theme park. You want people to be able to sit, but it also incorporated, plants and just trees, and it kind of plotted them right into the middle of the walkway without them actually being in the way. So it serves a purpose not only for, functionality, but aesthetically. So I'm like, that's really cool. How can I replicate that? So that was one of the main things I wanted to do for this episode, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now, there is still the problem of you can't put benches like literally right next to each other when they're kind of at an angle. So sometimes people will still like walk through them. And I think they actually do that in this episode. Later, I actually went and added kind of like a building structure inside of this, so that it'll kind of stop people from walking through, but it still doesn't work 100% of the time. I'm sure if I spent a bit more time with it, I'll be able to figure it out and get it so that they only sit and not walk through the actual structure, which I just wish that peeps, I think is what they refer to the characters in this game as. I just wish that peeps would understand, scenery and not just buildings, because they'll walk through scenery. I just wish that they wouldn't walk through like anything that obviously is in the middle of a path. So I know that's probably asking for a lot, and that might be a little bit difficult on the programming side of things, but it would be kind of nice if scenery just kind of had this envelope, which is kind of like its working area, and then things just can't go inside of that envelope. Much like when before they added the ability to kind of like turn off collisions and object collision. with the roller coasters, how they kind of had an envelope. You weren't able to put things inside of that envelope or near that envelope. So I wish they could just apply that same concept to the scenery pieces and have it so that inside of the scenery's envelope, they just won't walk through it. If that makes sense. I think that's the best way I can explain it. Anyways, like I said, we're doing a lot of like sitting areas for this episode. So another thing I want to do is actually have some like eating benches, which I don't think there's any that have been made in the game, which I wish there was, because it'd be interesting. Especially because they've got like food courts or not food courts, but they have, you know, food stall stations, whatever you want to call them, restaurants. I don't even call them restaurants because they're more like stands. They're like food stands. But I wish that wish we actually had some like proper benches that like not just like sitting benches, but eating benches, so that they can actually take their food over. Because I think they actually walk away with food sometimes. I don't know. I've never actually looked close enough to the peeps to see if they're actually like eating when they walk away from. I'm trying to look right now, but the footage is sped up so fast that I can't really tell. But it would be cool if they actually like carried like trays and would sit down with them. Like, it just adds a little bit layer of, you know, believability, and it would even allow for making like full-on restaurants, which, you know, theme parks have some pretty amazing restaurants. The one that comes to the top of my mind is the Blue Bayou over at Disneyland, which, you know, I've been going to Disneyland since I was 4 friggin' years old, and the Blue Bayou used to be a staple. You know, I went back not too long ago, and I went again, and for like the atmosphere is still there. It's really interesting, and it's cool to like see the pirate ship go by, or the pirate boats go by for the Pirates of the Caribbean. But like, the food seems like it's more expensive now than ever, and there's less options on the menu. So I don't know if that's like my top ranking like food restaurant in a side of a theme park. I still think that if you've ever been over to, and I don't even know if it's still there, gosh, I hope it's still there, over at Universal Studios in Florida, Islands of Adventure. Specifically, they have a restaurant that used to be in kind of the fantasy area of the park, which is now basically taken over by the Harry Potter area. They have a restaurant there. I think it's called the Mythos Restaurant. That place is super good. Like, the price point's fair, the food's really great, the atmosphere's super cool. It's never too crowded because it's such a big restaurant. So that one's definitely high on my list. Another one that's really good, over in Epcot, I believe. I think it's called like the Living Seas Restaurant or something like that. You actually, if I remember correctly, you kind of have to like take either stairs or like an elevator down. If I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong, but I remember that you had to actually walk down into this establishment because it was kind of like an aquarium restaurant. Or maybe am I thinking, I could be confusing that with another theme park. Well, I might be wrong. Anyways, Mythos is still my favorite, followed shortly by the Blue Bayou. Another thing that we worked on this episode, we worked on a bathroom because I started noticing guests needed to pee and they weren't too happy with no restrooms being in the park. So I'm like, oh, I got you all covered. We're gonna make the coolest themed restroom ever, which you know a theme park has done right, and they actually were like, we're gonna immerse you. We're gonna immerse you in an experience when you go into the restrooms, and even those things are themed. I remember going to the Harry Potter area for the first time in Florida of Islands of Adventure. And this is about a month after it opened, because we weren't crazy enough to go, you know, directly after it opened, because we knew it was going to be a madhouse. But it was still crazy. Like, there was still a lot of people there. But I remember going into the restrooms, and even those things are themed. I'm like, they pulled out all the stops. They never want you to not be immersed. Like, I'm going to the bathroom and I'm still immersed. What is this? Because, you know, you look at some of the other theme parks like Disney, their restrooms aren't themed. It's just like, oh yeah, you pee here. That's all you gotta do. You're not getting any glitz and glamour while you're sitting on the can. I'm going on the weirdest tangents. Oh my gosh, but it's true though. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna theme the bathroom. We're gonna theme this bathroom, and it's gonna be a warp pipe. It's the perfect theming device for a Mario bathroom. It's the gosh darn green pipe. So yeah, that was kind of a given. As soon as I realized we needed a bathroom, I'm like, oh, I got this covered. I know exactly what we're gonna do. But it's still a restroom, so we have to make it look nice, you know? So we make the building blue. We're gonna add some clouds, you know? I mean, it's pee and peace, you know? Everyone likes a peaceful pee. That's all I'm gonna say. So we'll make it nice. It's gonna be aesthetically pleasing. I don't want to talk about this anymore, but I keep going. Yeah, so the warp pipe, oh man, working with curved structures is such a pain in the patootie. It's always, the light always makes it look obvious when there's seam lines, and that drives me crazy. I wish there was a way to smooth all that out, but you know, you work with what you got, basically. And I know I've said this before, but eventually I want to add a bunch of art and, you know, video screens and stuff like this to the park, and I've gotten a couple of comments in regards to that will slow down the park, which I totally get. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to just start doing these smaller build series where it's just like, you know, it's not an entire video game park. It's like, here's a little mini Mario park, you know, here was a little mini Sonic park, or when we move on to other games or other themes, because, you know, beyond just gaming, because I know I'll get burned out on that theme eventually, beyond gaming, there's a bunch of other stuff that I want to do. I would love to revisit my Power Ranger park idea, which was an older series on my main channel before I split, you know, my main channel into these two channels, one being art and animation and voicing, and this one being obviously gaming. Before I split it, I did a like a 2-build episode, I think, of like a Power Ranger park. And now that we've got screens and stuff like that, I always thought it'd be really fun to revisit that and do it, I guess, more proper. Because I was really happy with how it turned out, given what I knew at the time in my build, you know, my skills and, you know, what I had available. But now there's so much more you can do that I'm like, oh man, I want to revisit that because that would be really stinking cool. And I once again want to use this time to answer some of the questions that I got on the previous video, which once again, thank you so much. We are past 1,000 views on the second build video, so thank you, first of all. Let's see, the top comment is from Mr. Warts, and it's, you should make an inverted coaster themed to Bowser, and you go in and out of the castle and glide over lava. That's a really cool idea. I really like that. I actually already have a plan for Bowser in this park, and it's funny because we were talking about, excuse me, it's funny because we were talking about restaurants earlier. I actually want to make a Bowser-themed restaurant called Bowser's Barbecue. Because, you know, Bowser, you think flames, you know, you think kind of industrial. So I'm like, what would be kind of a cool restaurant that we could do with that? And barbecue just makes sense. So I also wanted the opportunity to create, you know, artwork based on the restaurant. So I get to draw like Bowser in like a chef's, you know, outfit, and I get to create the menus, and we'll create, you know, more elaborate, you know, sitting areas, and we'll just make it look really cool. So that's the plan for Bowser so far. Real quick, I'm gonna sidestep here. So I wanted to add a kind of a center piece around this walking area that leads up to not only the snack area with the Toad stands, but also the Yoshi roller coaster. So I thought just throwing in a little carousel would be good, seeing as it's kind of the more kid area of this park. So once again, we need this flat ride to be named. Make it appropriate, first of all. And then second, it has to be Mario themed. So think of a character from Mario, probably not another Yoshi thing, because we've already got Yoshi like right there. I mean, maybe Toad related, I don't know. So if you all think of something, just listen in the comments down below, and I'll pick the one that I like the most. Why did I say it like that? I don't know. All right, so the next question that I've got is Mario Kart Rainbow Road Track ? Love the work you're doing here. Keep it up. Thank you so much. How about a Mega Man area or Metroid? Those are all really good ideas, but again, these build series are just one theme specific. This one being Mario. Again, I don't know what the future has in store, what we're going to work on next. I just have a couple ideas, and just, you know, whatever sounds great at the time is what we'll probably go with. So to answer your question, yes, we are going to be doing a Mario Kart ride. That's going to be kind of like the signature attraction. If you watch my old build series, I was working on a Mario Kart ride that was kind of housed in the Princess Peach's castle. We're going to be incorporating that idea into this park again, but it's not going to be the exact same thing. It's going to be a lot different. It's going to be, I'm thinking, entirely indoors, so we can do some really cool theming elements. There might be like a section or two that are outside. We've got a race car or a go-kart track, like a super huge go-kart like experience here. We've got a couple actually in Arizona. We've got one that's really cool, and I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I just haven't had the time. It's mostly indoors, and then there's like a couple sections that are outdoors, and I thought that was a really fun idea. So I'm probably gonna do something to that style, and I want to do each section is kind of like a different Mario themed track, and Rainbow Road obviously has to be one of them. Like Rainbow Road, you can't do Mario Kart without Rainbow Road. I mean, how are your friendships supposed to be destroyed if you don't have Rainbow Road, right? All right, and speaking of scenery and theming stuff, I'm working on yet another character for this area of the park. I tried to kind of space out building the characters just because they take so long, and I tried doing them all at once, or at least sort of all at once with the Pokemon theme park, and man, that gave me a headache, and I tried to keep them separated. Hey! Anyways, so we're making Cheep Cheeps, I think they're called. Cheep Cheeps, I'm gonna confirm that, yes, Cheep Cheeps from Mario. Yes, that is what we're making, which they're borderline Magikarps. So if I ever go back and do another Pokemon thing, I might have to reuse these and change them up a bit to make them look like Magikarps, because they're pretty close, and that face. I'm looking at that face and it's so ridiculous, but I love it. Oh man. Every time I look at it, it makes me laugh. Oh, I love it so much. Anyway, so yeah, there's some Cheep Cheeps for you. Let's read some other comments. Luigi's Mansion Dark Ride. Yes, I think I've said that on a couple of episodes. Are you guys watching these videos? Are you skipping around? If you're skipping around, you're breaking my heart. Watch the videos. I promise I'm at least somewhat entertaining. So yes, the Luigi's Mansion Dark Ride is definitely gonna happen. And that's gonna be a lot of animation, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's see, let's do one more comment for this episode. Could you do a Wario gift shop? Ooh, yes, we will do a Wario gift shop. That's an excellent idea, because Wario's like the hoarder. He collects like all the stuff, so yeah, let's do that. We'll definitely do a Wario gift shop. Yes, love that idea. We're doing it. Yep, that is a thing. That's happening. All right, so let's call that quits for the comments and get back to the video. I wanted to add a water feature because I was starting to realize there's like no water in this park other than the little water section over in the Yoshi Hills ride. So I thought it would be nice to add a water feature here, especially because I want to add a bunch of like sitting areas around this kind of pond, which I wish I could have made it a little bit bigger, but the paths, because the paths were there, it wasn't really letting me, so I kind of had to work with what I got. I've turned all the collision and stuff off, but I guess it's still kind of finicky when it comes to terrain and paths and stuff. So I could remove the paths and then do the water area and then make the paths around it, but because it's such a pain in the butt to build these larger paths and have them connect like that, I did not want to have to do that again. So we're just gonna kind of go with this and then cover up those weird kind of geometric seam lines with hedges and flowers and stuff, because you know that's what you do. You cover up your mistakes like they never happened. You know they're there, but no one else has to know. Well, you know, because you're watching the speed build, so you see all my mistakes and all their glory. You see the process, the peril, the will to go on. There's not a lot of will. There's a lot of late night coffee drinking sessions and building and jamming out to like some podcasts or some good music. Lately, I've just got Netflix playing in the background and like rewatching Voltron for the 10th time is normally what's going on when I'm building these. All right, so that's the end of this episode. We're gonna end this off, as always, with a couple of beauty shots of the work we've done so far. Thank you all so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Have an amazing day. Go out there, be creative, and as always, I will chat with you later.